A lot of smiles around these parts lately, and why not? The Pittsburgh Pirates have won 5 in a row, 6 of their last 8 ball games. They're a game over 500, and the Pirates are playing their best baseball of the season. They wrap up this long homestand this afternoon, hosting the Miami Marlins. And a lot of kids will be on hand. A big crowd expected. Education Day here at PNC Park. And boy, have the Pirates starters been teaching the opposition a lesson. Greg Brown and Bob Walk. And today's starter, Bob Garrett Cole, his last time out, flirted with a complete game. Would have been his first of his career. He just keeps getting better and better, doesn't he?
It really was great to watch him in that last game. I mean, he really dominated the opposing hitters like he normally does. But what was, I think, a little bit different is he was doing it in such an easy way. He was being very efficient with his pitches, so his pitch count didn't get out of hand. So he had that opportunity to go out there and go for that complete game. Maybe a little too pumped up, though, in the 9th inning. He started overthrowing and couldn't get those last 2 outs. Maybe today.
He is certainly part of our T-Mobile game changers. Epic run these Pirate starters have been on. 38 years since a Pirate rotation has done what Garrett Cole, A.J. Burnett, Francisco Liriano, Charlie Morton, and Jeff Locke have done this past week.
It was amazing to watch this run, but what I really liked was those first 3, all those strikeouts, 32 Ks, and they only walked 3 guys. And that was something special, too, to get the strikeouts and don't walk anybody. And then Charlie also put up a 0 in that walk column. That was something I think we were all looking for when he came back. How was that control going to be?
Looking forward to this afternoon's ball game. Oh, sorry, Bob, you got a little something there on your shoulder.
Sweep that for me, will you?
The Pirates and the Marlins are getting ready to play ball this afternoon here at PNC Park. Looking forward to it. Coming up next.
Is brought to you by Toyota. Toyota helps you get the most out of your drive. Just ask a friend who drives one. Toyota, let's go places. By Barrel Automotive, we're driven to be better. And by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you. Let's go Bucks.
Yep, looking for the sweep back-to-back. for the Pirates as they swept the New York Mets over the weekend. And Garrett Cole taking the mound for the Pirates, making start number 10 with the 7th lowest earned run average in the National League as he begins play today. Great run of starting pitching for these Pirates. Check out the Honda starting lineup for the Fish. D. Gordon, Martin Prado, Giancarlo Stanton, 1-2-3. Then it's Justin Bour at first base. Marcell Ozuna has a 7-game hitting streak and hitting .313 during that stretch. Christian Yelich will follow. JT Realmuto, Adeiny Echeverria, and Brad Hand for the Marlins.
Take a look at Cole's numbers, and they've got a little down payment going on maybe an all-star game appearance, and I would say Greg got to be one of the early favorites for Cy Young. At ERA of just about a flat 2 with 6 wins at this point. All those strikeouts,
pretty strong.
It's looking good right now. Off to we're a little bit further than I guess you would say a start. Nice opening third of the season.
Defense behind him. Jung-ho Gung is at third base. His infield partner Jordy Mercer on the left side. Then it's Neil Walker, and Sean Rodriguez gets the start at first base. Starling Marte, Andrew McCutchen, Josh Harrison in the outfield left to right. Chris Stewart catches Cole. That's been a recurring theme the last handful of starts. Jay Hay back out in right field. Gregory Polanco sits for the 2nd straight game in terms of starts. Actually, this will be 3 straight starts that Polanco misses. And D. Gordon, 2 for 9 in the series, takes ball 1 at 97 from Garrett Cole. Gordon 1 for 5 last night. His average of .368 is tops in the National League. And in the air to left for Starling Marte.
Well, you want Gordon to hit the ball in the air. Can't beat out a fly ball.
A beautiful 73 degrees here at game time. Very pleasant conditions as the Pirates finish off this homestand. Martin Prado, 2 for 8 in the series, takes ball 1. Prado hitting .277 with 3 homers and 20 runs batted in. And a strike is called. It's 1-1 on Prado.
I wonder if Cole right now already is thinking, be efficient early in this ball game. Try to get a lot of quick outs. See how deep he got a taste of that 9th inning. You know, he wants more.
He was efficient his last time. That's what got him into the 9th inning.
It's so rare to even get the opportunity that.
Yeah, just even sniffing the 9th.
He's got to be thinking in his mind, man, I really let that one get away.
And down on strikes goes Prado.
Elevated a fastball at 97, threw it right by him.
Quick couple outs for Garrett Cole. We'll get to our Rivers Casino tips to win as Giancarlo Stanton will be stepping in against Garrett Cole.
But Greg, a lot of times there's one guy in that lineup that you want to try and pitch around. I mentioned that I think with Goldschmidt earlier in the year with Cole, and what Cole did was he pitched around him. He went right after him, and so I think he's probably going to go after Stanton today. He's just got to win that battle. He doesn't shy away from the other team's, big gun.
I think he kind of likes it.
Yeah.
He likes this matchup, even though Stanton is 3 for 5 with a home run lifetime against Cole.
And the other tip we had there is that it's going to be basically a bullpen day with Hand starting this ball game for the Marlins. So you got to take advantage of that on offense and have a good day. Put 5, 6, 7 runs up on the board.
Ground ball to the shortstop. Should be a 1-2-3 inning. It is. 9 pitches for Garrett Cole. Bucks come to bat. Starting lineup for Pittsburgh. It's Josh Harrison to lead things off. Jordy Mercer, Andrew McCutchen follows. Starling Marte hits cleanup. Jung-ho Gung is the third baseman with Neil Walker at second. Sean Rodriguez plays first. Chris Stewart, Garrett Cole round out the Pirates starting nine.
Take a look at Hand's numbers. One of the things that I think is going to be important, Greg, is that the Pirates aren't too aggressive up there, that they show a little patience. Make Hand throw a little bit. You see the games he has pitched, he's not used to going out there and throwing a whole ton of pitches right now. So if you can make him work hard these first 2 innings, say maybe 50 pitches in the first 2 innings, then you can get into that bullpen very early.
And 2-0 to start things off. Of course, they've had so many injuries that they are forced to use a bullpen guy to start this game. Brad Hand has experience as a starter with the Marlins. There's a strike. He's made 31 career starts with the Fish. Over the previous 4 years, he was drafted in the second round in 2008 by the Marlins. 3-1. I had to call up a pitcher from AAA yesterday, Jose Urena, who went 4 2/3, gave up 5 runs, 10 hits in his first big league start. Jeff Locke went 5 2/3 innings. There's a high fly ball to center field. Very high fly ball and deep, but Ozuna makes the catch. Marcell Ozuna drifting back to the warning track to make that catch.
Good defensive outfield for the Fish.
Here's Jordy Mercer. Mercer 3 for 6 in the series.
Patient, definitely patient on that one. He got a good ball to hit right down the middle. But early in the ball game, you'll take some pitches like that. Might pay off later on.
Chopped and speared by Hand. 2 outs.
Mercer probably wishes now he wouldn't have taken that first one. That was right there. The one he ended up hitting was kind of down and away on the corner of the plate.
There's Andrew McCutchen. A lot of kids on hand today. Education day here at PNC Park, so thousands of youngsters a weekday afternoon catching some Pirates baseball, and they're always enthusiastic. They love rooting for Andrew McCutchen anyway, and his walk-up music, Taylor Swift.
It's their favorite time of year.
Yeah.
School's almost out.
Education days combining science, math, geography, and history here at PNC Park. For these students, there's ball 3 on Andrew McCutchen.
You don't want that blue stuff.
3-0 swinging and fouls it back.
Came out of his shoes on that one.
Popped up. Shallow right. Stanton coming in. And the Pirates go down 1-2-3. Nothing after 1.
is brought to you by the Chevy Equinox and your Western PA Chevy dealers. And by Day Automotive. We're going to make your day. Let's go Bucks!
Day Automotive, this day in Pirates history. This day, 1974, Pirates sweep a doubleheader against the Padres. The star in each game was starting pitcher Ken Brett, threw a complete game 2-hitter in game 1 after taking a no-hitter into the ninth. Then in game 2, big 2-run pinch hit triple, part of a 5-run 7th inning. Richie Hebner also had a walk-off 2-run homer. In the second game, they gave the Buccos an 8-7 win. This day, 1974, Day Automotive presents this day in Pirates history. Ken Brett was one of the all-time great hitting pitchers. We tried to, a couple years ago, lobby for the Pirates to start a Ken Brett Award each year given to the best hitting pitcher, as Justin Bour fouls this out of play. And it would be interesting, as we have discussed this season, the Pirates pitching staff doing a much better job, even though the batting averages aren't going to knock your socks off. They still look like they have a much better approach at the plate this season.
Yeah, I think there's.
Didn't Jeff Locke have a hit last night?
Yes, he did. There's a little more to it than just looking at the batting average.
Deep home run for Justin Bour. He crushed it.
Deep, and that got out in a hurry.
Man, line drive home run for big Justin Bour, his third. And a 1-0 Marlins lead. Now, see, those kids should have turned around and gunned it into the Allegheny.
Or really, they should have kept it.
Well, that's true, too. They could do that.
Hanging slider. Not what you're trying to do with that pitch.
Marcell Ozuna takes ball 1. It's the third home run that Garrett Cole has allowed this season. He falls behind Ozuna 2-0. It's the youngster that got the ball. Coming in is the shortstop Mercer. He's going to bare hand. Oh, that's a great play by Jordy Mercer.
Outstanding play. Yeah, most of the time I'm always thinking you got to go with the glove. Go with the glove. But I don't think he had a choice here. Well, look the way as he's bringing the ball up, he makes a little tiny adjustment to get that seam right where he wanted it. Just rolling it ever so slightly in his hand.
A fly ball to Marte and left. It's drifting back, approaching the wall, leaping up, and he made the catch. Wow. What a play by Starling Marte!
Did that ball carry?
Did it ever?
That looked like just a fly out, going to be pretty routine, and it would refuse to come down.
Garrett Cole loved it. Wow, he actually robs.
Yeah, that ball
Yelich up, maybe a home run.
Yep.
Allegheny Health Network Supermo with this look on a super play by Marte.
Absolutely, it took a home run away.
Garrett Cole reacts.
Took that run away. Making a catch like that is the same impact as hitting a solo home run.
There's a nice pickup by Gung. Boy, this Pirates defense has been really special recently.
Let's go to the wood now, huh?
How about those three plays? Mercer, Marte, and Gung. And Marte will lead things off. Garrett Cole loved it. For the Marlins, Jose Fernandez has been out since last year with Tommy John surgery. They hope to get him back maybe in July. Matt Latos, Henderson Alvarez each went on the DL this past weekend. Latos inflammation in his knee, Alvarez inflammation in the shoulder, and Jared Cosart has been dealing with vertigo. And there is the new skipper, Dan Jennings. Mike Redmond fired. And they bring their general manager to the bench. Immediately swept in a 4-game series by the Diamondbacks before winning his first game last Friday night in 13 innings over Baltimore. Then they won the next night. One ball and one strike. Baltimore won the first game of that series, and they won Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. Point Park University tweets talking about the Pirates defense. Starling Marte, that great play. Swings and misses the off-speed pitch. Jung-ho Gung, fine play to end the top of the second. Jordy Mercer made that bare hand play following the Bohr home run. Robbed Osuna of an infield single. Bounce to third. The backhand play by Prado. Brad Hand has retired the first 4 batters he's faced.
Well, Greg, would you agree that Gung has been impressive on defense? Maybe not range-wise, but as far as
he's as sure-handed as a player as we've seen in and
strong, accurate arm.
Yep.
It really is impressed me several times with the quickness of how he can get the ball from his glove to his throwing hand and get a throw on the way.
Yeah, total confidence when that ball is hit toward Gung, either at third or short. And of course, very impressive with the bat. An 8-game hitting streak. Batting .406 during this stretch. His average for the season is .316. In his last 24 games, Gung batting .354. And now Brad Hand has fallen behind 3-1. Jung-ho Gung feeling more and more comfortable at the plate, in the field, in the clubhouse, in the community.
The thing that is going to probably start coming next for him on offense. Now that, I mean, the batting average way up there. It's starting hitting some more long balls. Certainly is in his history.
You would think. A couple of ground balls to start at the bottom of the second for the Pirates. There's Neil Walker. Walker just 25 at bats from this side of the plate, 5 for 25, a .200 batting average. Pirates, as you know by now, have not seen a whole lot of left-handed starting pitchers. It's just the 7th game. Opponent has started a lefty. Brad Hand from Minneapolis, 25 years old. Last outing out of the bullpen, 2/3 of an inning against the Baltimore Orioles on Sunday. And in the air to shallow right. Stanton and Gordon, and Stanton calls off the second baseman. Brad Hand has retired all 6. Look at the team's playoff series against the Rangers, highlighted by Max Lapierre's Mic'd Up for the Pens Game 2 win. In the Room, today at 4:30 on Root Sports. Beautiful day here in Pittsburgh. It's been a really great stretch of weather the last several ball games. And the Pirates have performed up to the weather after dropping the first 2 games of this homestand to the Minnesota Twins. They swept the Mets starting Friday night, a 4-1 victory behind Garrett Cole. And they've won the first 2 games of this series, but trail 1-0 in the third. Here's Adeiny Echeverria, the shortstop. 1-4-6 in the series. One ball, 1 strike.
Interesting that Echeverria hits 8th in this lineup. Do you think he would be up a little higher than that with the success he's had? Over 300 batting average.
Strikes out looking. And that's the second K for Cole. We got Martin Prado in the first inning swinging.
This one's settling in right at the very top of that strike zone.
Home plate umpire is Rob Drake. The crew chief is Joe West. He's at first. Gabe Morales at second. And David Rackley at third. Joe West, some fancy footwork in last night's ball game. Avoid being hit by a base hit. They're asking D. Gordon to get back toward the on-deck circle. It was 15 feet closer toward that backstop. Did you ever worry about that, Bob, as a starter, where the on-deck guy was?
In a junior college game, I hit the on-deck guy because it was too close.
What?
Oh, caused a problem.
Takes care of the pitcher, Brad Hand.
I actually
I guess it did bother you.
I actually asked the umpire to move him, and the umpire wouldn't.
Really?
And so then I looked at my manager, or the head coach in college baseball, and he just kind of shrugged, and so I hit him.
It's like D. Gordon was saying, "My bad" to Garrett Cole.
Yeah,
Don't take it out on me now.
Yeah, don't do it now.
Pitch high and tight. So that's just one of those no-nos.
Yeah, you know,
right.
And in my case, it was while I was warming up to start the inning. It was the first hitter. He was standing practically right behind the catcher, watching my pitches. So yeah, you don't do that. Flash wouldn't have liked it.
No.
He's dad.
His dad, Tom Flash Gordon, was a Cub prospect many years ago who was hit and injured.
Yeah, I remember that.
Or it was the minor league pitcher the Cub minor league pitcher, Ben Christensen, hit a batter in the face. And a base hit over the head of Gung, a 2-out single for D. Gordon.
That's what Gordon tries to do. That first time when he hit that ball in the air, the fly ball, that definitely not in his game plan. He wants it on the ground or a line drive, something where he can use that great speed. You got to believe that with 2 outs, we'll try to move along. It's up to Cole and Stewart to stop him.
18 stolen bases for D. Gordon. That is the most in the National League. He's also been caught 7 times. Two runners were thrown out trying to steal on Friday night with Cole on the mound. Cole talked later after the game about the fact that they are continuing to work with the starters, and he's gotten better at that part of the game, allowing Chris Stewart the opportunity to throw out a couple of runners. Pitching coach Ray Searage in the Pirates dugout. Prado checks a swing. Nope, not according to Joe West.
By the way, Joe?
He doesn't mess around.
No, he doesn't. He's pretty straightforward. We're going to miss Joe in San Diego. Seems like we always have Joe West in San Diego.
So true.
I am assuming since he's here, he won't be following the team.
There goes Gordon. Got a pretty good jump. Stewart gets a good throw off, but not in time. Closer play than maybe Gordon would have expected with that good jump. 19 steals for D. Gordon.
See that leg kick, a knee coming up at least belt high. It really is to throw out, retire a premier base runner trying to steal with that leg kick is pretty much impossible. He's got to like stumble or something. You know, it's a decision you have to make. You're going to compromise and slide step, or you're going to go ahead and say, the heck with the guy at first. I'm going to go through my normal delivery, and if he steals second, so be it. I know over the years what AJ has decided to do about that. The heck with it. You know, we've talked about that quite a bit.
Cole isn't thrilled with this because that could have very well been called a strike. Looks like he caught in the black of the plate.
He's had a couple of those already in this game that call has not gone his way.
Jordy Mercer throws out Prado. A couple of strikeouts, a base hit, and a ground out. 1-0 Marlins. Batting order coming to the plate against the reliever turned starter today, Brad Hand. Sean Rodriguez 0 for his last 12. Takes ball one. Getting the start at first base. Lifted out of play. Cole in the hole. Two up third.
Well, so far the Pirates have been getting some really good pitches to hit. Haven't done much with them.
So Josh Harrison giving Cole a scouting report on Brad Hand.
That last pitch, good one to hit. Sean couldn't get to it.
Righty's hitting .333 against Hand this season. Has not allowed a home run. In fact, he hasn't given up a home run since August 24th last year, when he was starting some ball games for the Marlins. A first inning home run by former Pirate Michael McHenry, now with the Colorado Rockies, the last man to homer off Brad Hand. Just to get a piece of it. Real Muto not able to hang on, so Rodriguez gets another shot. Brad Hand got off to a strong start last year. Won his first 4 decisions in the rotation. 2.39 ERA. Bounced over the mound. Sliding stop. Echeverria from the seat of his pants. It's a throw off, but no chance. An infield single for Sean Rodriguez.
Pretty impressive just getting the ball to first base.
He's an impressive player, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Not as good as that guy in Detroit, though.
No. Iglesias, maybe the best.
That glove kind of, the ball sitting in his glove like it was a frying pan, just sitting there. Never really closed the glove around the ball.
Barrel Automotive League leaders. Pirates have a bunch of infield hits, even though they don't have a bunt single yet. Another infield hit. Second to the Miami Marlins. Could be 2. Safe. Nicely done by Rodriguez to get in there and disrupt things. And Stewart is aboard on the fielder's choice.
Yeah, that one was Sean going hard, and I thought he might try and slow down a little bit, but because of the way that ball was hit, that Gordon might charge it and try to tag him.
Let's see if they're going to challenge that. Dan Jennings looking. Yeah, they are going to challenge it. The home plate umpire tells Jennings that the foot was off the bag, so Jennings heads back to the dugout. Hard to see on that angle. Understated call from Joe West.
Well, because the foot is on the playing field side of the base.
Can't see.
I don't know what camera you're gonna it's gonna show that.
Right.
Now this angle might.
Well, it looks like he's got the side of that bag, doesn't it?
Yeah, well,
but there's no argument whatsoever.
See, now that angle still wasn't perfect, and you weren't zoomed right in. You're going to have to be zoomed right in there like you do on a tag play to really see it. So I don't know how you'd ever really overturn that.
Yeah, not clear evidence. Cole shows bunt, then pulls back and takes a ball. Trying to see if Cole gave anything away. Four hits and 20 at bats, 200 average for Garrett Cole. Swings away, a little flare, and a base hit for Garrett Cole. And Stewart thought about going to third, and then scrambles back. And of course, he didn't realize the ball wouldn't be handled cleanly out there. It's first and second, a base hit for Cole.
Now you would love to have gotten to third base with just one out.
I think if he goes to third, he makes it, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, because it wasn't handled. But as you said, you don't have that crystal ball. Right. You have to assume they're going to pick the ball up.
And that's what he was figuring right here. That
right there, he thinks it's going to get picked up.
And had it been, he'd probably be out. He tried to go to third. That's Correa just not able to handle it cleanly. Well, now here is Harrison. Hit a ball to the warning track in center field his first time up. Another look at Chris Stewart. Aggressive turn here. Thinks about it. And puts on the brakes.
I mean, he's diving back in the back. He's thinking maybe he's rounded it too far, that they're going to pick it up and throw behind him. Just means you're going to have to tie this game up with a base hit.
Two on, Pirates down a run. And that could be two. And that's why Garrett Cole goes in there hard, and Cole reacts. He looks over at first base. A little fist bump from Garrett Cole as he was able to break up the potential double play.
Now that one should have been turned. Guy in Detroit turns that.
Yeah.
What's his name again?
Iglesias. Jose Iglesias.
Just kidding. I know. I just like saying that guy in Detroit. But I have to think, from what I saw live and what I saw on some of the highlight packages, that he may be the best defensive shortstop that's come into baseball in a long time. Iglesias.
Yep. I would agree. 0-1 on Mercer. Now it's 0-2.
He's almost wizard-like.
Look out, Dan Potash.
Make the grab. Make the grab. Oh, just off the fingertips.
That's a great try, though.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a bad move by me.
No.
Took my eyes off the ball.
Great move. Duck out of the way. You might make the pick.
I think you would have had it if you didn't have that pin in your hand.
Yeah.
You know what? That's right.
That's what it was. You had to jettison the pin to make that catch.
When in doubt, blame the pin. I like it.
That's why Bob doesn't bring one.
I have a pen.
No, you don't. Oh, come on, give that back to me now. Ball in the air to left. Pirates going to strand a couple of runners. Go to the fourth, 1-0. Give me that pen back.
You know, we're still getting to know Jung-ho Gung. So know this. Before every game, he prepares a small rosin bag that he places in his back right pocket. And he'll go to that bag in his pocket after almost every pitch when he's in the field. It's in an effort to keep his fingers dry. Now, equipment manager Scott Bonnet learned this the hard way when he prepped a bag from scratch during spring training for him. And then the next day, Jung-ho came back and said, "Can I have another?" And he said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I go through a bag every game." So Scott had to then track down the company that supplied the same rosin bags to Jung-ho in Korea, and they were more than happy, wink, wink, to supply him with enough rosin bags for the entire season. Now, I'm told that a lot of Korean League baseball players are starting to do this, a rosin bag in the back pocket, but I think it's been more customary here in the States for players to use pine tar to kind of keep their hands dry. But, Bob Walker, I'll let you decide if that's true or not.
Well, Dan, I wonder why they had to go to the company in Korea to supply that. It's a different rosin bag than we normally see the pitchers use, apparently.
Yeah, apparently so, but it's very small, smaller than the one that pitchers use on the mound, obviously. Fits in his back pocket, and he will go to it several times. Not every time, but close enough.
Whoa!
Well, plays like that.
Look at that. Right on cue, and what a play by Gung.
Now watch as he goes to the rosin bag at some point after he makes the play.
Heck of a play to retire Giancarlo Stanton. We'll take a look at the play that Gung just made. Another hard hit ball, of course, from Stanton.
Well, he's got an arm like a power pitcher. It makes sense that he'd have his own rosin bag.
Regular speed. Well, he really has been impressive.
Yeah. I don't think he's got the greatest range of.
Yeah.
You know, we start talking about middle infielders, but as far as being able to move like a couple quick steps one way or another, and the hands, the arm, the accuracy of his throwing, I mean, all of that is top shelf.
Dan Potash told you about that rosin bag, and you can see him go to it. There's a line drive base hit by Justin Bour, who has homered and singled now against Cole.
Rule 5 guy, correct?
Yeah, minor league phase. Rule 5 draft from the Cubs, December of 2013.
Yeah, with Rizzo there, no room at the end at first base, Chicago.
Different than the big league Rule 5.
Yes, it is.
There's Gung again, going back to that rosin bag. Ozuna robbed of an infield hit by Mercer.
Now, if he had some sunblock on his forearm, would he be in trouble with the rosin sunblock combination?
I guess infielders don't get in trouble, huh?
I just wonder what the.
What do you think of what's been going on with the pitching? A couple of pitchers being suspended with slick stuff on the arm.
Well, if it's slick stuff, I think that's a little. They have always, I think, been a little more careful with the spitball. Sticky stuff, that's kind of a different story. They kind of like turn a blind eye to that a lot. Umpires will, because with the sticky stuff, you're throwing the same pitches: curveballs, fastballs, sliders, all that stuff. You're not throwing an illegal pitch. Whereas if you're throwing you're going with the spitball, it's an illegal pitch.
By the way, Dan Jennings called out the umpires to look at Brian Mattis last weekend. The Orioles pitcher, Freddie Gonzalez, recently had them check Will Smith of the Brewers. And those pitchers suspended. 2-2.
It does send a message around the league when something like that happens. Then the other guys all of a sudden, I gotta
be more careful.
Yeah.
Last year, Michael Pineda, the Yankees pitcher.
I mean, the suspension itself is, what is it, 8 days? Is what they were suspended? 8 days, what they were suspended?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. And that is essentially is you're missing one start. Not a huge penalty, obviously.
And strike three called, 2 outs. I heard John Farrell recently on I think MLB Radio Network interviewed him this past week, the manager of the Red Sox, who called out Pineda last year. He said he'd like baseball to come up with something, Bob. He said, in I believe Japan, each baseball is sealed in plastic, and it comes right out, and it's got the texture where you get a good grip. Is it right now when they use that Mississippi mud or the Delaware mud, it takes off some of that grip? What were your feelings about that as a pitcher?
I don't agree.
What do you think of that? What do you think of how
the Mississippi mud makes it? If it comes right out of the box,
right,
that's when it's slippery. The mud makes it
easier to grip.
Yeah, you can grip it. That's one of the reasons they rub the ball up, is so you can get a better grip on it.
Ball hit towards center field, and ball is really carrying, and as McCutchen toward the wall. But the out is recorded. The Pirates still trail 1-0.
Sports is brought to you by Allegheny Health Network. health for all. By Kenny Ross, Ask a Neighbor. And by Levin Mattress, located in all Levin Furniture showrooms and freestanding stores. Let's go Bucks!
Bucks trailing 1-0 to Brad Hand. And the Miami Marlins, Andrew McCutchen flied to right his first time up. Hand's first couple of outings through well over 60 pitches in relief stints.
This is not what I've expected.
No.
To this point. This is far enough. Put some runs up.
There's a base hit to get things started here in the fourth.
That was fastball right down the middle. They've seen a bunch of those. Maybe not a bunch, but several. And we really haven't done anything with them yet until now.
Time to vote for your favorite Pirate All-Stars. Vote 35 times on the 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot at Pirates.com. Voting exclusively online and available on your computer, tablet, and smartphone. Vote early, vote often. Help select the starting lineups for the 2015 All-Star Game. Vote at Pirates.com. Do it now. Starling Marte grounded to third, his first at bat. Beautiful day at the ballpark.
Warm out, I'll tell you that.
Not bad. 73 degrees at game time. Pleasant. Marte.
We need a home run, Greg.
Okay. A little cat and mouse going on here with Hand and McCutchen.
I want to hear all these kids scream. Ball's carrying, and we've seen that.
Your kids are kinder. There's just a few scattered boos with a couple of throws to first base. Nothing malicious. Drive to left. Going to carry out to Yelich. A line out to left. Marte is the first out here in the fourth inning. You see 51 pitches from Brad Hand. His first outing of the year, April the 7th. He relieved Matt Latos and went 4 1/3 through 70 pitches.
Old
that
fashioned
day.
Long man.
Yeah. And then a few days later, April the 12th, relieved Henderson Alvarez, 67 pitches over 3 innings.
Yeah, back in the days when you had the 10, 11-man pitching staffs, there was always somebody out there that was his job to go long if the starter couldn't.
What's going on there, Bob?
I don't know, but Joe West doesn't like it.
D. Gordon going out there to talk to Brad Hand. Look at Joe. Wow, that really fooled McCutchen. He was scrambling back to first as Hand was delivering the pitch to Gung. Hand might be throwing over.
I had him fooled.
Fools Gung with that pitch.
Way late. I mean, right smack down the middle. I mean, look where these two pitches are. This is what I'm talking about. The pitches we're getting to hit today, there has been a ton of them right in the heart of the plate, right in the strike zone, and we're just not doing a lot with them. I mean, it's not like he's throwing real hard. He's throwing hitting speed, 91, 92.
There goes McCutchen. Pitch is taken for a ball, and a little double clutch there from Realmuto. McCutchen has his 3rd stolen base of the season.
I wonder what happened there with the throw. Did he just not have a hold of the ball?
Maybe not.
A good break. That hit cuts right in the helmet.
Young, a swing and a miss.
He's got to run.
And it hits him.
Oh.
So, dead ball. He is out. That's the 2nd out. And the first strikeout for Brad Hand.
Got the ball. But the ball bounced and went off the catcher.
Off the foot.
It went off his foot. Oh yeah, definitely didn't make it back.
Neil Walker. Young, a strikeout victim, and Brad Hand gave up the leadoff hit to McCutchen, trying to strand him. Oh, 2-0 the count on Neil Walker. One to left. Yelich makes the catch. How about 4 shutout innings for Brad Hand? 1-0 Fish. In the Berg during Friday Night Rocks on Root Sports.
On the North Shore where the flags fly high and all around the Berg with a glass to the sky.
Get tuned into Pittsburgh's music scene as we showcase local artists and tracks throughout every Friday night Pirates broadcast. Friday Night Rocks, Friday when the Bucks take on the Padres on Root Sports. Going to the 5th inning. And with just 1 run being scored today, and that run coming on a home run by Justin Bohr. Garrett Cole has had to be excellent, and so the Pirates can figure out Brad Hand and eventually get into the bullpen. A little bit frustrating, Bob, isn't it?
Very frustrating. It's not like we're not getting our opportunities while we're up there at the plate.
To center field, and a base hit for JT Realmuto.
You know, you looked at the game today and you're thinking Pirates are on a roll. Marlins are really scuffling right now. It should be a pretty good mismatch as far as the pitching department. They have somebody again stepping in, making kind of an emergency kind of start. Maybe not emergency, but you know what I mean.
Close to it.
Yeah, and Cole is off to one of the best starts of anybody in the league, and it's just not working out that way so far. Still very early in the ball game, just at more than half to go, so plenty of time to get those runs up there, but I don't like it.
And he falls behind Echeverria 2-0. Cole, with his win last time out, improving to 6-2 this season and 27-14 in the major leagues. His 50th major league start. The first Pirates pitcher in over 100 years to win 27 of his first 50 big league games. Nick Maddox, last time the pitcher did that for the Pirates. That was back in 1908. There's a Point Park University tweet, hashtag Bucks Booth. Who has the better National League Cy Young odds, the young ace Cole or the wily veteran Burnett? In the air to right, Harrison.
Well, I think it is a little early to put actually numbers on it, odds, but you know, right now you look at Cole with the wins. If he wins today, he'll have 7 already in the first 2 months of the season. That might give him a leg up. I think a lot of times the Cy Young voters go toward those W's than the other stats. So if Cole ends up with 20-some wins, that would help him out a lot. Of course, AJ with the ERA,
the lowest in the major leagues right now, 137.
If he keeps that up, if he finishes the season with a ERA in the ones, and that's going to be an eye catcher also for the folks that decide who's going to be called Cy.
AJ Burnett's next start is tomorrow night in San Diego. Francisco Liriano will start Friday night. And bunts the ball in the air. Foul. It would have been interesting had that dropped or had been a fair ball. Assume Rodriguez would have let that drop, Bob?
He was not coming. He wasn't charging.
Right.
There was no way he was going to catch it. He didn't charge. He was going to let it drop.
Missed it for a strikeout. 5th K for Garrett Cole. Nissan Road ahead. So Burnett tomorrow. Friday Liriano. An interesting pitching matchup that will be. James Shields is off to a 6-0 start with the Friars. Ian Kennedy 6.11 ERA. Saturday night Charlie Morton against Tyson Ross. Sunday Jeff Locke on the hill against Odrisimar Despaigne. There goes the runner from first. Pitch taken for a strike. Throw down is wide. And a stolen base for Realmuto. That's his first.
Not paying a lot of attention to him. Big leg kick. That knee coming up way high that time.
First career stolen base for Realmuto.
The other catcher steals one.
Realmuto played in 11 games last year.
He stole that off Cole.
And a bunt try. A bare hand play by Gung. He'll have no play. Gordon with a 2-out bunt single. Brings up Martin Prado. With 2 outs. Up to Prado to try and make it at least a 2-0 ball game.
Kind of like a relay race. Gave him the baton. I don't want to knock that run in. You do it.
Gets the bunt hit, the league's leading hitter.
All they had to do was put it down. Gung was playing back, guarding against a base hit that would actually knock the run in.
So Prado, who has struck out and bounced out. Oh, and 1. Nothing in 2 on Prado. Cole with 5 strikeouts. Punched out 10 his last time out. Came in with 63 strikeouts for the season, tied for 7th most in the National League. And it stays 0-2. Veteran Martin Prado, one of the additions this winter to this Marlins ball club, came over in a trade along with David Phelps, who started the opening game of this series. The Marlins sent pitcher Nathan Eovaldi and Garrett Jones to the Yankees in December. Safe at first. Cole has allowed 5 hits. And the difference to this point in the ball game, the Justin Bour home run that led off the second. There goes the runner from first, swinging and a foul tip, strikeout. 6 Ks for Garrett Cole. The Marlins lead 2, but lead 1-0. For Pirates fans, at the Residence Inn and Spring Hill Suites North Shore, located directly across the street from PNC Park. Use the promo code 2PF when booking your room. When you check in, you'll get a ticket voucher good for savings of up to $10 on any Sunday through Thursday Pirates home game this season. Again, use the promo code 2PF. UPMC scoreboard, it is 1-0. Sean Rodriguez, 7th man in the order. An infield single in the 3rd. And drives one towards center field, sending Ozuna back toward the wall and off the fence. Rodriguez into second base with a stand-up leadoff double.
All right. Now let's get this ball rolling. Fastball down, I mean right on the fat part of the plate. Need to hit a few more like that.
How close this was. Chris Stewart reached on a fielder's choice his first time up. Marlins activate the bullpen. As Brad Hand approaches his season high. There's former Pirate Brian Morris.
Regardless of what happens here, I think that they got to be pretty happy with the effort so far, getting into the 5th inning.
Those cameras out there are nice to be able to see this. Relievers, bullpen shots, allows you, the viewer, great opportunity. Top of the mitt.
Oh yeah, everything.
Cameras.
How many miles of wire you think it laid?
Oh, jeez, how much time it takes to put that out there.
Money.
Yep. 1 ball, 1 strike on Stewart. 2-1. A lot of action today in the major leagues. 10 other games this afternoon, including the Reds trailing the Rockies 6-1, top of the 5th inning. The Mets lead the Phillies 1-0 in the 3rd. Yankees and Royals in New York tied at 1 in the 3rd. Two and 2. Michael Pineda starting for the Yankees against the Royals. Chris Young. Just talked about that trade a few moments ago that has Garrett Jones as a Yankee. Another former Pirate, Justin Wilson, pitching the Yankees bullpen. Struggling a little bit in terms of ERA. 2 and 2. Found that. Garrett Jones pitched the other day. Did you see that?
I did see that,
of an inning. 1 walk, no hits.
Amazing curveball. I didn't know they had that hook.
Jay Hay pitched a couple of years ago. 0 ERA. 2 and 2. And Stewart battles Brad Hand. Leadoff double for Sean Rodriguez. And that will move the runner to 3rd, at the very least. And Garrett Cole get an opportunity here. Stewart obviously would like to have driven in the run with the pitcher coming to the plate, but Cole had a single in the 3rd.
Hey, Cole's a little different cat, though, I think.
Different cat. Infield in all the way around. Dave Gordon going to talk to
different cat.
Brad Hand. See, Bob, that's how you clap. Happy birthday to Logan Steele today. I think watching the game in Germany.
4 years old.
Is he 4 today? Yeah, 4 years old. Cole swings and misses. His dad, one of the gypsies in the trailer, Jason Steele. Mom and the kids back home in Germany. 0-1 the count. We'll visit her parents. And 0-2 now. Well, Cole will battle Brad Hand, that's for sure. But it's 0-2. Maybe it was this pitch he would have liked to have driven into the outfield. Instead, fouls it away. Slaps that one out of play. 94 from
that was one
Brad
of the better
Hand.
fastballs of the day. And this should be, you would think, Hand would be running out of gas a little bit by now.
He's reached his season high pitch count back April the 7th when he threw 70 pitches. He got him. No, got a piece of it. Just got a piece of it. Apparently he didn't.
Why not?
Cole was pointing to the ground as if he had gotten a piece of it. His backswing will hit the catcher Real Muto, and oh, now he's apologizing to him.
Got him 3 times, twice with the bat, head, and then with the right hand.
Well,
needed to hit one of those fastballs.
it's a big second out.
At that hook.
The second strikeout for Hand. Well, they play back now with 2 down. Ball 1 on Josh Harrison. He said he wanted 2. He could drop a bunt down.
Well, now a bunt will actually knock in a run, but not when a guy is second.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Fair ball.
Yes, it is, and that's the final out. Ball right in front of the plate.
Right on top of the plate.
Remains 1-0.
We told you that Mike Berger there on the left, the new general manager of the Marlins, was a standout catcher on the 1979 Central Catholic Vikings baseball team. Now, also on that squad, Tony LaCava, who is the current assistant GM at Toronto, and his brother Frank is the current manager at Central Catholic High School, by the way. And not to be forgotten, as we take a look at Tony, Dan Marino was a standout pitcher on that squad as well, going 12-0 that season, and went on to be a fourth-round selection of the Kansas City Royals. But I don't know why he decided to play baseball. Decided to play football, excuse me.
By the way, Dan, right now we're seeing Mike Berger and Mickey White, who works now for the Marlins and a former scouting director for the Pirates, is seated in a suite there. Bergs and Mickey White staring up at the monitor, chuckling at those old photos you got together. 1 ball, 1 strike. Good people, that's for sure. Mike Berger, his good buddy Tony LaCava, and Dan Marino.
I didn't realize that Marino, a 4th-round draft pick for baseball.
Yeah.
I think he made the right choice, though. Decent career as a football player.
The Royals drafted him. Yeah, pretty good career with the Miami Dolphins, of course. And we're watching now Giancarlo Stanton, the Miami Marlins, who is 0 for 2 against Garrett Cole and a 3-1 count.
Not the way he's got his face mask shaped like a G.
Yep. A little style there.
Look at that.
They provided that face mask with that G is a little. Strike 3 called on Stanton after getting ahead 3-1. He's caught looking. He does not wear that face mask against left-handed pitching. We saw that on Monday night. Cole has handled Stanton, but not Justin Bour, who will be coming to the plate.
It's kind of an odd thing that he doesn't wear it against lefties.
And Bour drives one to center field, but McCutchen is going to be right there to make the catch. Bour's had 3 good at bats, 2 for 3, and the difference in the ball game, his 2nd inning home run.
Absolute bullet. But I know guys, when they're up at the plate, you know, right-hander with a left-hander pitching, you don't really think that you're going to get anything up and in, but it does happen. I mean, we've seen it over the years, and that's really, you know, what you're guarding against anyway is a real kind of a freak event. You don't get hit in the face very often, period, even by right-handers. So if you're going to guard against something that's very seldom would ever happen, why not go ahead and wear it all the time against lefties also?
And by that pitch from Mike Fiers, September of last year. Giancarlo Stanton and Brad Hand going 5 innings. That'll be it for him. Brian Morris will be coming on. 5 shutout innings. Ozuna rolls one to second. So again, the difference in this ball game, 1 swing from Justin Bour against Garrett Cole. Pirates look to score him some runs against the Marlins bullpen. switched on and paying benefits in the 4-hole. Corey Hart had the heart of his career torn away from him. He's still trying to fight his way back, now with the Buccos, and much more inside Pirates baseball, presented by Allegheny Health Network today after postgame on Root Sports. There's a great shot. She's got the souvenir watching Garrett Cole pitch another strong ball game, but
needs some help, doesn't he?
Certainly does. Brian Morris, the former Pirate.
Opponent batting average up there quite a bit at 344. Obviously giving up a lot of hits those 23 innings.
Jordy Mercer, ball one. Morris was traded last summer to the Marlins. Bucks got a competitive balance round selection in the draft last year. And Morris appeared twice against the Bucks last season. A couple of scoreless appearances versus Pittsburgh after the trade. Brian Morris, former first-round pick of the Dodgers back in 2006. Pirates traded for him in a blockbuster deal in 2008, part of a 3-team trade where the Red Sox got Jason Bay. Bucks also got Adam LaRoche in that trade, Brandon Moss. Manny Ramirez went to the Dodgers July of 2008. And Morris, solid outings out of the Pirates pen, parts of 3 seasons. Strikes out Jordy Mercer. After Brad Hand went 5 scoreless, allowed 4 hits.
I've always known that Morris's stuff was outstanding. The power in that right arm, pretty impressive. It's pretty hard slider at 90 miles an hour. That's 95. That ball cut. See that ball kind of move left. Morris had good cutting action on that fastball.
One ball, one strike.
Curved him.
McCutchen had one of the 4 hits against Brad Hand. 74 pitches for the starter. Hand threw 43 of them for strikes. And toward right center field, Stanton is over, and a great drive, but the ball comes out of his glove, and McCutchen will wind up at second base. Great effort from Stanton, but you can see how upset he is that he could not hold on to the ball, and a double for McCutchen.
Well, Stanton, what we've learned about him over the years, he takes about as much pride on his defense as he does his hitting. I mean, he loves making plays like this that he almost pulled off. Very upset he didn't hold on to that. He's just totally laying out. He's got it for a moment, hits the ground. The glove comes off his hand, and I'm thinking that about the same time when that ball came out.
That was his reaction just a moment ago. Now Starling Marte.
I wouldn't want to be that glove right now. is mad at that glove card.
Yeah.
I don't want him that mad at me.
Bounce to third. 2 outs.
Starting to get a little concerned here. Decided that it's no more, plenty of time.
Stanton still seething while
yes, he is.
Hutchin having some fun. Jung-ho Gung at the plate. Two on Gung. Gung has bounced to short and struck out. Going to call for it, and Real Muto, a little snow cone action, still makes the play. Inning here at PNC Park. Yeah, gotta
smash
a couple of runs across.
Let's do this.
Now down to the last 3 innings of work.
Yeah.
Offensively, Pedro Alvarez will be getting ready.
9 more outs to work with.
Possibly Garrett Cole's last inning. He faces the 6, 7, 8 men in the order. One ball, one strike on Christian Yelich. One run on 5 hits. Justin Bour's leadoff home run in the second. The difference in this ball game. That's drilled. And this will make it a 2-0 game as Christian Yelich hits his second home run of the season. 2 solo homers to right field.
That one just like Boers. That was a bullet also. Down and in. Yelich just drops the head of the bat right down to the baseball. There is some very good talent on this Marlins team. Yelich, one of those guys. Trying to go outside with a fastball. Ball got in.
And now a base hit to left field for the catcher, Real Muto. He is 2 out of 3.
Not expecting this out of the bottom part of the lineup. Cole was thinking get through this 7th inning clean, and then had to be pinch hit for next inning. He'd be in good shape.
Echeverria has struck out and flied to right. See if they might be sacrificing. Set the stage. Donovan Solano comes out on deck. There's one. And a high throw, and they won't get the double play. Cole to Mercer for the force at second.
Just hit a little too slowly. Yeah, Cole got it there quickly, though.
For the Marlins, number 17, Donovan Solano.
Donovan Solano will pinch hit. Rob Scahill in the Pirates' pen. Bouncing ball to the shortstop Mercer, and that is a double play.
Very nice. Now, let's do something. Let's do this.
Right to Mercer, to Walker, to Rodriguez. And now 7th inning stretch time.
Join everyone watching at home on Root Sports as we sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
make it a 2-0 ball game. Yelich's second of the season. Joins his teammate Justin Bour with solo shots over the right field wall. Now down by 2, and lefty Mike Dunn takes over.
Dunn's numbers on the year, get that ERA up there a little high, but relievers this early, there's not very many innings, so that moves up and down real quick. Doesn't mean a lot.
They'll face Neil Walker, who was 0 for 2 against the lefty starter Brad Hand. And a strike is called. Marlins with 2 home runs today, just 31 home runs all season. Second fewest in the National League behind the Phillies. And that's hit toward that line.
Stay fair.
Just foul. My goodness, that's tough to do. Tough to sneak it.
Can be more than about
foul
6-7 feet
and
there.
Land in that section. She's able to get out of the way. Well, Walker hit an opposite field home run just fair last night as a left-handed hitter. Nearly pulled it and kept it inside that foul pole, and this ball's popped up. Ozuna. Well, Mike Dunn gets Walker to fly out after all. Two runs, 7 hits against Garrett Cole. 7 strikeouts.
Yeah, another fine start, but looking more and more like he's not going to get a W for it. Need to do something here in a hurry.
One and 2. Rodriguez, 2 of the Pirates' 5 hits. McCutchen, a pair of hits. And the other belonged to Cole himself. And Rodriguez goes down. It'll bring up Chris Stewart. Reserve your seats to the most in-demand games with a 12-pack plan. The Flex Pack gives you the flexibility to personalize your plan by selecting the games that best fit your schedule. You can lock in the best prices and seating locations to high-demand games. And remember, you purchase a 12-pack plan, you get postseason ticket presale opportunities. Call 1-800-5-BUCKS. Talk to somebody right now. Chris Stewart, a couple of ground ball outs.
Tabata on deck. He'll be the pinch hitter if need one. Although I think Cole was a little surprised to see Tabata out there. You see that reaction when he looked up the steps?
And a base hit to center field for Chris Stewart. And Tabata will step to the plate. Interesting that in this situation they go to a guy like Tabata instead of Corey Hart. Hart, a guy that has in the past displayed some power, but decided to give Tabata a shot here.
You would love to get a long ball here, since the guy at the plate is a tying run. Sporting some interesting looking shades.
Line drive, one hop shot off the glove of Gordon into shallow center. Too hot to handle. That hand is stinging right now. He is in some kind of pain.
Yeah, must not have got any leather on it. That's a right hand that he's shaking.
Two on, 2 outs.
Hey, yesterday we scored all those runs with 2 outs. I'm hoping now we can continue that trend.
Dan Jennings might be making a pitching change here. With the right-hander ready, he will. Dyson going to try to clean things up here for Mike Dunn. Full shots from the Allegheny Health Network Supermo, and 33,238 on hand this afternoon to see the Pirates in their concluding game of an 8-game homestand, hoping to see the Pirates extend their winning streak to 6 games. Well, they've got 2 on with 2 outs, and right-hander Sam Dyson faces Josh Harrison, who's 0 for 3. Stewart at second, Tabata pinch hit single at first. And ball 1.
Yelich playing a little shallow out in left field, I think, with the tying run at first base. A lot of room. You can see how far out left that wall is from Yelich. But he goes back on the ball very well. Excellent defensive outfielder, but still think he'd give up a couple of steps so he could maybe cut something off if it's in the gap.
Two and one. Pedro Alvarez awaiting an opportunity. Might pinch hit for Mercer should Harrison reach. And Harrison with a base hit to right. This will make it 2-1. Talbot at a third. Jay delivers a single to right.
2-out RBI, baby. That's what you're looking for. Need at least one more, couple more would be great.
And Mercer will be called back in favor of Alvarez.
And Jay started bringing that batting average up. He really got to where he was hitting the ball hard to right field consistently. He does it again here in a big spot.
th RBI for Jay. Chris Stewart got this going with 2 outs with his base hit up the middle against the lefty Mike Dunn. And Alvarez pinch hitting for Jordy Mercer. .241 average with 9 homers and 22 runs batted in. He's 0 for 3 off the bench this season. Last 9 games has hit 4 homers and batting at a .364 clip over those 9. Ball 1.
Yeah, very interesting defensive alignment. Most everybody this year has been shifting on Pedro. Right now the Marlins aren't playing a shift. D. Gordon playing a very deep second base, but he's by himself over there.
2-0. Remember, Alvarez hit a ground single through the left side last night.
That's one of the things that you see happen occasionally is teams will change their minds as the series goes along, and watching with their own eyes, not just a scouting report, where a hitter is going with the ball.
And there it is, a tie game. The Bull with a pinch hit single right through the hole. It is 2-all. The Buccos come back.
I mean, that's just smart. He can tie the game up with a single, so he gets a ball that's a little away from him. I think this ball's away a little bit. But down the middle. But he's just trying to hit it hard through that hole. Yeah, a lot of teams will put their third baseman there.
Well, now McCutchen could get Cole a W. Not only is Cole off the hook, but you get him a run now, and he'd be in line to win it as you look at Pedro Alvarez from the Pirates' point of view.
Here they come.
Andrew McCutchen 2 for 3. 2-0. Consecutive hits from Stewart, Cole, Harrison, and Alvarez. Tabata pinch hitting for Cole. Cole had a base hit earlier in the ball game, but Tabata pinch hitting delivered the shot off of Gordon, and now it's 2-1. Van Jennings, he knew when he took over this would not be easy. He has so much respect for managers in this game, a longtime baseball man himself, but in the front office and now in the dugout. 3-1. He gets a right-hander up in the bullpen. Carter Capps. 3-1 on McCutchen. And now the bases are juiced. The Pirates have tied it. Starling Marte will be coming to the plate. Chuck Hernandez, the pitching coach. Young and old alike loving what they see. 33,238. Starling Marte now, who is 0 for 3 this afternoon. Faces Sam Dyson.
Hit the ball pretty hard that second at bat, if I remember right. Kind of a line drive out the left.
Ball 1. Dyson has walked 9, 1 intentionally. Make it 10 now with the free pass to McCutchen in 23 2/3 innings. So you got to be patient here because he can be wild. And now Marte in the driver's seat, 2-0.
Yeah, it's not like you're automatically going to take in this situation, but you have to be very selective in your mind, thinking, okay, this is what I'm going to look for, and this is a spot it's got to be in. Anything else, then I'm not going to pull the trigger.
2-1, 97 from Sam Dyson. Career .261 hitter with the bases loaded. Checks and takes, ball 3. He's never hit a grand slam. They're loaded. Harrison at third, Alvarez at second, McCutchen at first.
A lot of good things could happen here with this pitch.
A walk would be fine. The crowd fired up. 3-1. Bounce toward third, foul, and now it's a full count.
Well, runners get the head start now. That tweet earlier about the Cy Young and Cole.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
I mean,
Cy Young's are won on plays like this.
Yes, on pitches like this, where does he get that 7th win right here in the month of May or not?
It is nail-biting time.
Yeah.
Ball 4. Buccos lead it.
Woo. That had to be tough to lay off. Great job by Marte. You know, and that was probably, if you say, Greg, what is Marte's weak spot? What is his weak area? It's being able to take pitches like that, lay off, not expand that strike zone. He took one there that was close, but definitely a ball. And with that base on balls, not swinging at that pitch, he gets the RBI to knock in that go-ahead run.
Could get Cole a W as the Pirates now lead it. Just the 9th time this season Starling Marte has walked unintentionally. And the Pirates keep it going. 6 straight men have reached after 2 are out. Coming back here, Jung-ho Gung takes a strike from Carter Capps. Gung 0 for 3 this afternoon, has an 8-game hitting streak. We saw Capps pitch in the 8th inning last night. He hit Gung with a pitch on the elbow. Checks, strike 2, 98. A couple of calls going Capps' way. Going to slice toward the seats and out of play.
Well, this would be an absolute huge hit. We've had a few already, but this one would be big. Cap's numbers on the year: 143 opponent batting average. He doesn't give away many hits.
Checks and takes.
Hey Greg, what do you think gives you more of an edge as a pitcher? Having something tacky on the end of your fingers, or being able to throw the baseball to the plate when you're already a foot and a half in front of the rubber?
That's a great question.
Is going to score a couple. Jung-ho.
Clutch.
Jung-ho. A 9-game hitting streak. And the Pirates now lead it 5-2.
That puts a nice little finish on the inning, huh? 98 miles an hour. Not even from 60 feet 6 inches. And Gung turns it around. Line drive.
How clutch has Gung been now? He's 5 for 12 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. A .417 average with 7 runs batted in. The Pirates have just opened things up here after 2 are out. Watch Andrew McCutchen react. Pop up the shallow left. Yelich makes the catch. This inning started quietly, but the Bucks get up off the deck. Starting with Chris Stewart, a pinch hit single from Jose Tabata. Josh Harrison, an RBI hit. Pinch hit single, RBI for Alvarez. Couple of walks and a 2-run single for Jung-ho Gung. 5-2 Buccos.
Pirates and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
The Battling Buccos, you see on our UPMC scoreboard now leading at 5-2, 10 men to the plate, 5 runs in the inning. Gregory Polanco comes on to play right field. Josh Harrison moves from right to third. Jung-ho Gung moves from third to short. Tony Watson will try and get the ball to Mark Melancon. Back-to-back outings for him Sunday and Monday. Diving stop. Walker desperately had to get the ball off quickly. No time. An infield hit for Gordon.
Good job by Stewart. Running over there. It's almost like the ball went right to him. Walker, real nice play, making that stab.
Strike. Martin Prado 0 for 3 against Garrett Cole, now in line to get the W. Cole went 7. Seven hits allowed. This is in the air to left. Marte. Runner at first is going to tag, but then Gordon will put on the brakes.
Marte trying to set his feet. Looked like he stepped on himself, didn't it? Still got off. Beautiful throw in there. Kutch, the way he was setting up, I'm sure Kutch was yelling at him that Gordon was tagging on that play. Got to communicate that.
Jung-ho Gung, 2-run single to cap the scoring. Pirates put a 5 spot on the board. Frustrating first 6 innings for Pittsburgh. Went to work on that bullpen after Brian Morris pitched a scoreless 6th. Mike Dunn, Sam Dyson, Carter Capps giving up the hits. Starling Marte, bases loaded walk. Giancarlo Stanton is 0 for 3 this afternoon, and now count of 1-2. Lined a ball to the warning track in the 8th inning on Monday night against Tony Watson. It stays 1-2.
No face mask with the lefty on the mound.
Struck him out. 2 away in the 8th.
Stewart asked for that ball up above the belt. Watson gave him to him. Wanted it in just a little bit. Didn't matter.
Justin Bour had 2 hits against Cole, including his 3rd home run of the season, leading off the 2nd inning. Christian Yelich led off the 7th inning with a home run off Cole, the only damage. And now Pirates bullpen 4 outs away from giving Garrett Cole his 7th win of the season. He would join the Cardinals' Michael Wacha and the Mets' Bartolo Colon. And the National League is the only 7-game winners.
Got to keep pace.
Felix Hernandez of the Seattle Mariners, King Felix, the only 7-game winner in the junior circuit. 2-0 count on Bour. Two and one. Felix Hernandez is pitching today, by the way, against Tampa Bay. They're in the 8th inning. It is scoreless. Now 2 and 2. Van Hertel pushed the right buttons. Pinch hitting Tabata in the 7th. Tabata delivered, and Tony Watson delivers, striking out Stanton and Bour. The Bucks lead by 3. Pirates score 5 in the 7th and have the lead. They'll look for more here in the bottom of the 8th inning, trying to end this 8-game homestand with 6 consecutive wins. The Pirates have not won 6 straight games since June of 2013. Ben Mazzaro delivers to Sean Rodriguez. A former Pirate. Saw him pitch on Monday. Just called up from their minor leagues. He pitched 2 scoreless innings, allowed a couple of hits. 0-2 on Mazzaro. Popped out of play.
Won't be long, we hope.
Wow, where do you get one of those baseballs?
A few more outs.
Where do you get those? Did you write that on there? I hope not. That's a copyright infringement if you did.
A few more outs.
One guy could do that, Bob. And down on strikes goes Rodriguez. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, widget, and more. Every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. One down. We'll bring up Chris Stewart, who started off that rally last inning with a 2-out single to center field. One ball and one strike.
Stewart and Cole making a pretty good team now, aren't they? How many games in a row has this been?
Paired up for
4 or 5?
4, I believe, as Clint Hurdle told us that he liked that matchup, the two of them paired together.
It's working.
Not only did Clint Hurdle pinch hit Tabata in the 7th inning following the Stewart single, but waited to bring up Pedro Alvarez against Sam Dyson, and Alvarez pinch hit RBI single that tied the game. Pirates adding 3 more. Ball in the air to center. Be the second out. And now Gregory Polanco. His first at bat. Then Mazzaro loved his time here in Pittsburgh, albeit brief. He enjoyed going to the local restaurants in Pittsburgh. He liked that. He heard about Cafe du Jour from a tweet recently.
Really?
Yeah. I think he follows our director Pete Toma, who tweeted it out recently. If you've never been to Cafe du Jour, Pete says you really got to make it first on your list. Ball 1 on Polanco. You don't follow Pete, huh?
No.
Oh, you should. Gives you great recommendations.
Well, sometimes in person.
Yeah,
but not really on the social media.
It's great to have him on the bus when we're in Chicago. As we're leaving,
it's like a tour guide
to the airport.
Yeah.
Pete points out all the great places in Chicago. It really is like a tour guide. It's free.
He is amazing.
Yeah, he is something else, I'll tell you. Incredible Pete Toma, along with our producer Adam Elmore. As Polanco fouls it out of play. Uncle Steve will not make the trip this time.
He's going to be making some, though.
Yeah.
I noticed that he's penciled in for a road trip.
Did he bring any?
Chicago, Washington.
Did he bring any of his books along? Do you know, on the trip? I wonder. Because there are some people that haven't had a chance. He usually has a box of his books.
I think he has
from a couple years ago, and he carries them with him wherever he goes, and he sells them.
Yeah, he's going to have a signing, I think, on the D.C. trip in Washington.
Actually, I saw him reading a book at Wrigley Field before a game. There's a drive to right field, deep right, and off the wall, bounces away from Stanton, so Gregory Polanco will coast into third base with a stand-up triple.
That ball needed to be hit just a little bit towards center field.
That is just the second triple of the season for the Pirates. The other belongs to McCutchen.
It would have easily been out of here, except he pulled it just a little too much. Normally it's the opposite. You don't pull it enough to get it out. But the wall goes up so much higher there. We're at the very beginning of the Clemente wall. got a triple and he was jogging.
I was going to say,
he's in his home run
he's got a home run.
He's in his home run spot. Still made the third.
Polanco's first career triple off the Clemente wall in right. Fly ball to shallow center field, and Ozuna makes the catch. So the save situation remains for Mark Melancon. Four-game series against the Padres. Catch all the action from San Diego starting tomorrow night at 9:30 with Pirates pregame presented by WB Mason on Root Sports. Ninth inning. A.J. Burnett, by the way, will start tomorrow night. As Mark Melancon looks for the save for Garrett Cole. Get Cole to 7-2. Get the Pirates another W. Melancon earned his 11th save on Memorial Day in the 4-2 Bucco victory.
ERA continues to come down from the beginning of the year. Looked like AJ threw a sunflower seed over each shoulder right there. Well, that's a
little ritual of his.
Good luck for the ninth inning thing.
He does that every game. When the Pirates are ahead, he throws those sunflower seeds, one over each shoulder. A little ritual.
Kind of like
they're getting ready.
Feed the parrot. The Pirates always have a parrot on your shoulder. You're feeding the parrot.
Ball one on Ozuna. Ozuna 0 for 3. One ball, one strike. One and two. So far this month, his ERA 0.84. 1 run in 10 2/3 innings. Melancon picked up his 60th Pirate save Monday. Now 8th on the team's all-time saves list. He's one back of Stan Belinda. Still 2-2 on Ozuna. Christian Yelich homered in the 7th. Broken bat. Under the glove of Melanson, that's okay. Right to second.
Yeah, don't even touch it. Let it go. Let Walker make the play.
One down in the ninth. Melanson got Yelich for the final out on Monday, getting the left fielder of the Marlins to hit a comebacker. Strike one. Jammed to Harrison. 2 outs. And now they'll all get up here, ready to send this Bucco club on the road. 1 out away from back-to-back sweeps and a 6-game winning streak. Poised to fly the colors here. By the way, thanks to Steel Chuck for that tweet of all the broadcasters. That painting that he sent last night. Chop toward the shortstop and a bobble. Gung not able to make the play. And the ball hit by Real Muto. Well, we're singing his praises earlier in the ball game. That will be his 3rd error of the season.
Came up on him a little bit, got up on the heel of the glove.
It's the Pirates' first error since last Friday. And playing excellent defense. Lady Echeverria. Line drive, base hit. This will bring the tying run to the plate. After a couple of quick outs, an error and a base hit. And now Ichiro will come up. Quieted down a bit. They're still standing here, but
there's so many times, Greg, in any ball game you watch. The 9th inning, this never seems to go quietly. Looked like it was going to in this case. 2 outs, little ground ball to short.
What is it about this 9th inning, Bob, that has created such angst over baseball's many years in the closer's position?
So tough to get through it. As far as a pitcher, it's got to be somebody that almost emotionless out there. That none of this seems to bother. It's like they're not even pitching the 9th. It doesn't matter what the score is.
Melanson seems to be so that kind of player. There have been all kinds of closers, of course. We had Jason Grilli here in a couple of years. He was the antithesis of Melanson. And a couple of strikes. Some of the all-time great players. Ichiro Suzuki, 1 and 2.
I think during the inning, though, is when you really got to be cool and calm. I mean, like with Grilli, for instance, after that 3rd out, that's when he would really go crazy, the big hug.
You think he was calm during the inning?
Yeah. I mean, not like Melanson. They're 2 different people, but you can't let things like an error or anything like that get to you at all.
1 and 2. And it's still 1 ball and 2 strikes.
There's just a little too much pressure out there to be somebody that reacts to that sort of thing. AJ would have been a good closer.
One and 2. Big cut.
Trying to run that cut fastball in on his hands. That's your main weapon against the left-hander. Try to jam him with that pitch.
2,876 career hits for Ichiro, tied for 41st all time with Mel Ott. Major League history. Bouncing ball. There's Melanson, and there's your sweep. Raise it. What a finish to this homestand as the Buccos raise the Jolly Roger over the Miami Marlins. Longest win streak since 2013.
Now, it kind of didn't go as expected early in this game. Really thought that we had a kind of a pitching mismatch, that Pirates will be able to put some runs up early against Hand, but that was a no-go. I mean, Hand was very good. Really, I gave him everything they could want in that start this afternoon, but finally the big breakthrough inning and a lot of key 2-out hits. A lot of key 2-out hits, especially like that the Alvarez one, where he just kind of forced that ground ball through that left side. That was nice.
Well, a big win, as a lot of Pirate fans like to say. RTJR. Let's go to Robin T.
Greg and Bob, thank you very much. And the Pirates now 2 games over 500. They haven't been there since the end of April. Teak, a marvelous homestand. It started poorly, a little mini 2-game sweep at the hands of the Minnesota Twins, but ends beautifully. You'd have hated to see 5-3. That's kind of what you expected. 6-2 with a 6-game winning streak, their longest since 2013. And it began with Garrett Cole, and it ended. Hopefully, the winning streak will continue, but the homestand ended with Garrett Cole as well.
The success on the homestand did, and yeah, you're right. It was, got a little nervous today as the game went on. And, the offense that had been scoring as many runs as they had wasn't scoring them, but Cole just stayed in there, gave up just the 2 home runs, and I guess things do end up the way they're supposed to end up. They get the runs in time as far as time to get Garrett Cole to win in this ballgame.
All right, and so you get the great pitching from Garrett Cole to bookend the other good turns through the rotation. The Pirates starters now, with Cole getting the win, 6-0 in their last 6 starts, but also the offense, Teak, doing a great job as well.
Yeah, and, they've been doing it early. They did it late today, but in the homestand, 9 games, 8 of those games they scored 4 or more runs. That's the magic number, and doesn't matter when you score them. You like to score them early. It makes it a little easier at the end because you get into a different part of the other team's bullpen. But if you get 4 with this team, you win most of the time.
And the Pirates bullpen again continuing. Now they've flown a little under the radar, but that bullpen continues to be exceptional for the Buccos as well. Let's go downstairs where Dan Potash is with Jung-ho Gung. Danny?
All right, Rob, thank you very much. Well, it was Jung-ho's 2 RBI single in the 7th to give the Pirates a little bit of insurance, and I've asked his interpreter, HK, to join us for a couple moments. With that base hit, Jung-ho is now 5 for 12, hitting over 400 with 7 RBIs, with runners in scoring position and just 2 outs. Does he get excited to come to the plate knowing there's a chance to score some runs?
이제 주자가 스코링 포지션에 있고 투아웃 때 지금 타율이 4할 이상이고 한데 그 부분에 대해서 되게 흥분되는지 기분이 좋은지.
투아웃이거나 아웃 카운트는 상관이 없고 일단 주자가 스코링 포지션에 있으면은 최대한 타점을 올려서 팀 승리를 이기는데 도움이 되고 싶다고.
그 부분에서 기분이 좋아요.
굉장히 좋죠.
Yeah, I'm very excited about the fact that I'm hitting, over 400 with runners on scoring position, and it's about getting RBI to get the W for the win.
Speaking of wins, the 6-game winning streak is currently the Pirates' longest winning streak since 2013. Is this team playing its best baseball right now?
지금 이제 6연승하고 파이러츠 최고의 야구를 보여주고 있는데 그 부분에서 어떻냐?
여기서 멈추지 않고 계속 연승으로 이어나갈 거라고.
We're not gonna stop here. We're gonna keep going.
Now, finally, the Pirates are getting ready to go to San Diego. The broadcast tomorrow in San Diego will be televised live back to Korea, where the fans that used to watch you in person can now watch you live on television. Is he excited about that?
이제 내일 그 샌디에고 중계가 이제 한국에서도 되는데 그 부분에서는 어떠냐?
어디서 중계가 되든 항상 내가 할 일 최선을 다하면 되니까 많은 사람들이 응원해 주셨으면 좋겠습니다.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that it's televised back in Korea. Regardless where it's televised, we're going to keep moving on and win the series.
HK, Jung-ho, thank you.
Thank you.
Jung-ho Gung and the Pirates. Whoa, sorry. Get out of the way. The man's hot as they head off to San Diego. Guys?
Dan, thanks very much. Appreciate it. The Pirates winning 5-2, a 6-game winning streak. The Pirates 2 games over 500 now at 24-22. Coming up next on Pirates Postgame presented by the Allegheny Health Network. Complete highlights of this victory. A come-from-behind win for the Buccos 5-2 over the Miami Marlins. We'll have postgame reaction, plenty of analysis from Teak, highlights from around the league, and a look forward to the long upcoming road trip. All that and more coming up next.